Hi, this is Queenie Yu from Bullet Point News. Joining me today is our environmental correspondent, René De Vries, who is a geoscientist and entrepreneur. René, welcome to Bullet Point News.
Well, thank you. That's exciting to join your team.
Yes, René, what are your areas of specialization and what projects are you currently working on that affect Stouffville residents?
I'm a professional geoscientist from background, so my specialization is in soil and groundwater contamination and infrastructure development, specifically related to environmental issues. I've worked in that field as an environmental consultant for 35 years, all of it or most of it in Ontario. And yes, I've lived in Stouffville for over 20 years. These on projects in Stouffville, in fact, I've applied this expertise and background, mostly related to fill importation, for example, and fill quality. And I'm quite familiar with all the fill sites in and around Stouffville. So that's how um, that's one thing that I'd like to focus on because I have great expertise there, and that goes far and wide. And the other item that's of interest to me is water quality and groundwater quality as well, also in the context of redevelopment sites. And some of the projects I'm looking at right now is the Camfella infill development. I've also been involved with other big infill projects on in Stouffville. That's towards Musselman Lake. And yeah, what is my focus? Well, yeah, that's one of the areas of focus, and the other area that I'm just getting into now actually is recycling. In relation to recycling, we um, I'm looking at organic waste recycling and the questions around that. In fact, there's technical issues that our company needs to solve there, and I'm getting further involved with that. But waste, water, and soil. If I have to summarize it, those are the three areas that I'm primarily focused on and interested in, and I'll be following the municipal offices related to these kind of issues.
Could you tell us about the large infrastructure and development projects you're involved with in Stouffville?
Now in Stouffville, yeah, I'm actually our company where I'm one of part of the management team. We're involved with the very large infrastructure development projects, and that includes, actually in Stouffville also for Go Transit, we've done work at the yard and mostly environmental work. But in the modernization and upgrading of the Go Transit network in Ontario, we're involved. We're also involved with large new projects for Metrolinx and Infrastructure Ontario. And in such capacity, we were actually moving Phil out of the Go Transit station that was built there on Bloomington and 404 that was just west of Stouffville town line, I think. But yeah, those are typically the projects I would get involved with. At the moment, I'm environmental lead on one of the big infrastructure projects that's just starting in downtown Toronto. That's Ontario Line. Now that is an exciting project, but that's not in Stouffville. But it's yeah, that's the kind of shows the size of projects that I'm involved with, and I am directing that from head office, my own home office in Stouffville. So.
Could you talk about some recycling and waste management issues in Stouffville?
Yeah, we have this discussion at our house uh, where we often talk about what happens to the stuff that people separate, and there's been great criticism over time in relation to things being collected separately and then winding up in a landfill anyway. So, how efficient are these collection programs, and what issues are there? Actually, I'm in relation to green bin recycling. I'm in general, I could say I'm quite a tree hugger. 35 years ago, I got my degree in environmental science and engineering. So I did that for the reasons of I was concerned about the planet, and I wanted to make sure people did the right thing for the planet. And in that regard, I am a proponent of projects like this, but I'm also not um, insensitive about economic issues. Of course, this has to be done efficiently. If you have a program that pretends like it's collecting the material, and then it winds up in the regular landfill. What's the purpose, right? And so these are things I've been monitoring and looking at. The whole collection of organic waste, oh man, it's a can of worms on its own. It's difficult to do and difficult to do efficiently, and improvements are being made on that. And yeah, that's something that I'm, from a technical perspective, actually following quite closely. We're also recommending, our company is recommending improvements in that process. So I know a fair bit about it. But in general, I would say don't give up on the recycling program. But it's also good to put pressure on the people that are administering and looking at this, to make sure that it remains efficient, and that where efficiency exists, that they're being fixed. Otherwise, it takes the whole reason away for doing this kind of work. So.
Renee, thanks so much for such an informative chat today.
Okay, excellent. I have started to connect with a lot of people in Stouffville, and I'm open to for issues that people can bring to the fore. What are the issues? And I'm happy to talk about that. And I do believe, as an environmental consultant for 35 years, I have the right expertise and also the right balance between environmental economic consideration to provide people with um, a good view on things, and a balanced view. So I'm happy to provide that input as we go forward with Bullet Point News. So thanks for the introduction.
Thank you, Renee, for joining us today. We'll talk soon.
All right.